Hello, it's match preview time here on 1874 in association with Match Bingo. 1874.io/Match Bingo is the address to visit if you want to sign up and help us as a channel. You can buy bingo cards around all the sport and football that's on at the moment. You buy four, you get one free. They're £2 each, and you can win between £25 and £250. Please gamble responsibly. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by Sky Sports News' finest employee, David Reed, to preview No, it's not Manchester City first. It's Aston Villa against Manchester City at Villa Park on Sunday, 2 o'clock. And I am very much looking forward to this game, Dave. I'm gonna just draw a line under go ahead Eagles. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to worry about it. It's completely separate. It's hopefully not going to affect us at all. We've won a few games in a row in the Premier League now, and now it's time to win another against one of the big boys.
I think that's probably the right thing to do, because if you dwell on go ahead Eagles too much, then it might affect you going into this game this weekend. So yeah, I mean, let's just move on. It's one of those results that unfortunately will get talked about for quite a while, but I don't think it has any bearing on the game on Sunday.
No, it can happen, can't it? I said last night, Villa taking on a team that's based around Eagles was probably always going to end in tears, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Villa, I don't know, well, you won't have watched it probably yet, Dave, because it only came out a couple of hours ago at the time of us recording now, but in the Stato preview, stat pack, kind of said that Villa unbeaten in 3 against Manchester City at Villa Park, so not a happy hunting ground for the citizens.
No, and I think Villa have been good value, certainly in the last couple of times they've played them at Villa Park. It's not like it's been smash and grab. I think
better team in both, I would say, and I think City fans would say that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Villa can go into it absolutely full of confidence and without any kind of fear whatsoever. I think if Pep Guardiola was thinking that, I mean, not necessarily he'd be thinking it, but if there was any sort of hint of his side being casual going into this weekend, he'll have knocked that out of them by the time Sunday comes around.
Yeah, we've had Dave Reed on the ground today trying to get the press conference bits. It's what he does. It's what he does best. And you mentioned to me that Rodri's out, Kuzanov's out, and we don't know yet about Nico Gonzalez. Just wanted to talk to you about the Rodri absence, because obviously they're a supremely better side with Rodri in the team. He's one of the best players in the world. He's probably the best in his position in the world when fully fit. It's probably worth noting that the 2 wins Villa have had against Manchester City, they have been Rodri-less, and they're going to be Rodri-less again.
Rodri-less.
Yeah, I can't think of any more. Have you got any more? I've not got any.
No, I've got no more than that. Yeah, I mean, he is probably the best player in the world, as you say, in that position when he's fit. He is so good on the ball. You know, he is like the conductor in that Manchester City midfield. He takes the ball, he's able to recycle it, he's able to break lines and pass forward. Off the ball, his positioning's outstanding. He's one of those players that you watch and you never see him almost running at full pace, because he's always in the right position to snuff out attacks and to anticipate the next opposition move. He is amazing, and it's good news for Villa that he's not playing in this game. Nico Gonzalez is one that has been filling in for him a little bit. I don't think he's really nailed down that position since he joined Manchester City. And the other option that they might go with is Mateo Kovacic, but he's coming back from fitness issues as well. So I wonder whether there might be something else that maybe Pep Guardiola has up his sleeve if Nico Gonzalez doesn't make the game, because I'm not sure that he would go with Kovacic from the start.
And he's got a couple of players back, hasn't he? I know Nico O'Reilly was a midfielder, wasn't he? He's been converted into being a left back. Pep obviously likes doing that, has got form for doing that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of what the makeup of their midfield could be, and I'm thinking probably Reinders, Bernardo Silva, and maybe Foden. I don't think he'd put Shirky in from the start away at Villa Park.
Yeah, I mean, the option, it would almost be like a 4-1-4-1, and obviously Nico Gonzalez would be the holding player. I wonder if he's not
Sorry,
fit.
I was talking as if he was absent. That was if he doesn't play. That was me doing that.
So yeah, if Gonzalez isn't fit, I think one option is Bernardo Silva as the holding midfielder. He can play anywhere. He's like a Swiss Army knife.
Been done before.
I think he's done it before. The other option would be to move John Stones into a holding midfield position. again, he's one that probably isn't fully fit at the moment, and I think they have to be careful with his minutes given his injury history. So, but given how he's played, certainly in midweek against Villarreal, he was incredible, John Stones. So maybe he would be an option because they do have centre back options available to them, whether that's Bardell and Diaz, whether it's Ake Diaz. Nico O'Reilly was on the bench, I think, in midweek, so he could come in at left back. So they do have options. It's whether Pep Guardiola believes he wants to go with, a more physical player as that holding midfielder than maybe a Bernardo Silva. So it'd be interesting to see what he goes with.
Yeah, talking to physical players, they've got a guy who's pretty strong up front. I'm not sure if you're aware of his work, Erling
Mm.
Haaland. Did my pod
Never
with
heard of him.
Jonathan Wilson yesterday, and he basically is just a Frankenstein centre forward. All the best bits of every centre forward that's ever existed, pretty much. He is on supreme form here. Stato said he scored 24 in 14 games this season across for everyone, for his country and for Manchester City. To have 24 goals in the season on the 24th of October now, at the time of recording, Villa have dealt with him pretty well over the years he's been in the Premier League. But I've got to say, maybe aside from his first season when he rocked up at Villa Park and we actually had a good result and got a 1-1 under Gerrard, I don't remember him coming to Villa Park in this kind of form for a few years. So it's be interesting to see how we tackle this.
Yeah, and lots of different sides at the start of this season have tried and failed to stop Erling Haaland. And you even think to when Manchester City played Everton last week, maybe the most physical centre-back partnership in the division, which includes James Tarkowski, couldn't do anything to stop Erling Haaland. And I don't think they did a fat lot wrong either last weekend.
Everton were okay, actually. I thought they put up a good blueprint of how to play against City, actually.
Yeah, it's essentially Erling Haaland on a different planet right now, and that makes it very, very difficult to stop whatever he does. It's one of those, and I was talking to it's just a bit of a name drop here, but obviously
we
Jimmy.
love a name drop.
No,
I've said
not
Dion
at all.
Dublin about 50 times in the last week, man, so I wouldn't worry about it.
So Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was on the Premier League show this week, and I was talking to him about what it's like to be a striker in that sort of form, and he was basically saying it's one of those moments where you can literally do no wrong. Everywhere you go, it's like the ball finds you, and you almost feel invincible on the football pitch. That's the kind of form that he's in at the moment. And even the games, the game last week against Everton, I think they did a bit of analysis on Haaland on Match of the Day where he was getting into the box and then checking his runs for the pullback.
Yes,
But
I noticed that. That was a good piece of striker move. I feel that's a new string to his bow as well. I don't remember him doing that too many times.
It's almost like counterintuitive because instinctively, I think a centre forward wants to get across the defender in front of them for the low cross, across the 6-yard box or maybe a header. But he's just got the sense for everything right now. And I think he's improved his game off the ball as well. He's covering more ground. I was looking at, again, I did a bit of analysis piece on Haaland this week. And I think he'd covered something like the second most distance of any player in the league pressing. So he's putting in a lot of work off the ball as well, leading the press for Manchester City this year, which, Pep Linders has come in at Man City and as the assistant to Pep Guardiola. And he is obviously one that does a lot of out of possession work with Manchester City and getting their off ball work right. And Erling Haaland has been leading that press from the front excellently so far this season. I think he's having more touches of the ball this season. I mean, there will be games where he might have 5 or 6 touches of the ball. And obviously he's still scoring right now. But certainly there were times last season when he was having 5 or 6 touches of the ball and not finding the net as Manchester City struggled a little bit. But this season, I think he's having slightly more touches of the ball, getting involved in a little bit more of the build-up, feeling the football a little bit more. And I think it's paying dividends because he's on fire. I think he's 1 goal behind Harry Kane, possibly, but feel free to correct me. And it's between him and Harry Kane as who's the best on the planet at the moment for me.
Yeah, and they're both very different, aren't they? They've both got different skill sets. I would say. You tell you what, if you were a defender, you wouldn't want Haaland pressing you, would you? With his physique and the way he moves, I would poo my pants if Haaland came and put me under any kind of pressure on the ball. I think he'd have the ball within a millisecond of I'd just let him have the ball if he was pressing me. Now I don't work with the statisticians at Sky, so I don't have any numbers in front of me. But I was going to say around Haaland, and we will talk about Villa in a second. I was going to say around Haaland because Manchester City have slightly changed the way that they play. The old way was a little bit slow, a bit more methodical in the build-up, keep the ball. So Haaland would kind of be at the end of that and not being involved too much because they've slightly changed. Well, they've actually quite changed how they play quite a lot this season. He's tended to be more involved because they're playing slightly more direct. Well, actually a fair bit more direct than they would normally play Manchester City. Like the goal against Arsenal, for example, just boom through on goal, quick movements, none of the short passing, just straight through.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Pep Guardiola has been quite conscious of over the last couple of years. He's gone on
spoke a
record
lot.
About saying, the future of football isn't necessarily what he was doing, but it's more Newcastle, it's more Bournemouth. He talked about Brighton as well in the same sentence. So particularly when you think about Newcastle and Bournemouth, you think of intensity, you think of direct football, and you think of pace. So I think he's evolving his Manchester City side to fit that. Now, whether you can kind of argue either way, whether you think that's a good thing about where the Premier League is heading right now. It's certainly
I like it.
It's certainly different from where it's been. Whether the rest of Europe will decide to follow or whether they will go their own way and how that will affect some of the English sides in European competition, I'm interested to see as the season progresses. It's certainly something different this year, I feel. And it feels like we're entering a bit of a new cycle in terms of the way that teams are setting up. And we've talked loads. I've seen loads of dialogue around long throws and set pieces and things like that. You can kind of make your own mind up whether you think that's entertaining enough or entertaining in itself. But certainly we're heading in a new direction, I feel.
Yeah, I feel Villa have played a part in this. This is going to be, maybe people will say this as a wild take. And I actually think Villa do it enough in this way. But I actually think Morgan Rogers has led a lot to this kind of change that teams have done, because I think they've seen what having such a specimen kind of in the central 10 role in the left-hand side, someone who can dribble, carry the ball, and defenders almost bounce off them. I actually think the way Rogers plays the game has actually played a little bit of a part in how teams are starting to operate now. That might be a completely wild take from me, but I honestly think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think what quite a few teams now are trying to do is, and Villa do this, is where the goal kicks, if you're starting from a goal kick, will be played short. Either the defender will take it to the goalkeeper will take it to the defender. And the plan is to try and engage that press from the opposition, suck them in, and then play quick. Now, playing quick can be played through the lines, which is into your central midfield, which Villa tried to do, and then move it straight onto your 10s, or go wide and hit your 10 straight away from the fullbacks. Or other teams will try and draw that press and then go long into the centre forward. And the pitch is expanded, the pitch is stretched, because you'll often see 5 players ready to press on the edge of the defensive penalty area, and you'll see the goalkeeper and 4 defenders ready to play out. And then you'll see the other 5 players on the halfway line. And so there's that area of space in between those 2 different lines. And I think the key is to try and hit that line at the right time, so you've got enough space and time and pace to get through the opposition and hit the opposition back 4.
Yeah, and I think McGinn and Rogers are going to be crucial in this game. I really do. The way that they can almost roll defenders or get past defenders, bypass them quickly and play well in transition. We saw Villa for their first goal last year. Lovely ball from Tielemans out to Rogers, squares it to Duran. They go 1-0 up. I think Villa are probably going to follow a similar blueprint this time round against City, but I think McGinn and Rogers are absolutely critical to that. And obviously we won't have Youri Tielemans on this occasion. I'm just going to put Dave and I's faces on the screen because you wouldn't want to not see us. I'm aware that Dave is covering the John McGinn on the tactical screen, so I'll just move him a little bit. Dave, this week's bankers I've gone for is Emi Martinez, Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa. I think Powell does start this one. Villa have won 5 games in a row with the Powell and Konsa centre-back pairing, so I think he'll stick with that. Luca Dean at left-back. In fact, it's that back 5 really that's been mainly involved in the 5 wins in a row prior to go-ahead Eagle, so I think they all play. Kamara, an obvious one. John McGinn, Rogers, Watkins. So that means by virtue of what I've just read out, that there's 2 places up for grabs, Dave. Where do you think Villa turn?
Well, firstly, I actually agree with your bankers there, which doesn't
That's
often
good.
happen.
That's
Because
good.
usually I come up with some nonsense at this point and say, no, you're talking rubbish. And then obviously when it comes to the team news announcement, you are spot on. But I actually agree with all those bankers. I think Rodgers will play from the left. So it comes down to 2 decisions.
Okay.
And one option is that Marlon is alongside Watkins as the kind of second striker. Or the other option is that Bogard plays alongside Kamara and Onana plays in front. And
I don't see him doing that.
essentially Villa pack the middle of the pitch.
Like they would
So
if
those,
Tielemans was fit potentially, and it
yes,
might be Kamara, Nana, and Tielemans.
yes, exactly. I think Onana plays.
Yeah,
Um,
I do too, actually. I wouldn't say he's a banker, but I'd say I'm 80% certain that he'll play.
yeah, so it's a case of that other position, and for, I'm not entirely sure which way he'll go. I think if he's feeling ambitious, if he's feeling confident, it might be Marlon. But maybe Marlon is a better option to come from the bench to try and impact the game.
I think he'll want Rodgers central for this one. He did play left side against Manchester City, if my memory serves me correctly. So I mean, it's a different Manchester City anyway, so there's probably not much point me going back to that game last season, because it is a very different Manchester City now. I think he's going to play Buendia. That's my... Maybe not, though, against a physical team. He does sometimes have a reluctance to play Buendia against a physical side. If I'm being completely honest, I'd actually like to see Sancho play. I thought he was good against Go Ahead. I said I wasn't going to talk about Go Ahead Eagles, but it's a bit unavoidable here at this point, at this juncture of the show. I actually thought that Jadon Sancho was very, very bright. It's just I kind of get the feeling against Manchester City, of course, he came through the academy there, that he might be a good pick for this one. But I'm not sure he will go. I think it will. I can't choose. I just can't choose, Dave.
I think my reason for Rodgers from the left is just to give them a different thing to think about. Probably it's going to be Matheus Nunes at right back. Can you cause
Yeah.
him a few issues? Will he know where to go? Will he know when to move with Rodgers? Will he know when to not move with Rodgers? It just gives the right back something else to think about. I don't think it's going to be Buendia. This is probably going to sound unfair. I did think Sancho was good against Go Ahead Eagles, but then you have to remember it's Go Ahead Eagles, and Villa should have really won that game 4-5-0, and it should have been a very comfortable night. So I can't give. Yes, he was bright, but I can't give loads of credit for playing well against Go Ahead Eagles. You have to do it against the better opposition.
I mean, in fairness, not many did play well past about 20 minutes against them.
Well, yes. I totally see that argument as well.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
not. I mean, it's
first
not going
half,
to be Elliot either, is it? Like we just know that's not going to be the case. Guy can't get on the pitch.
it's
The
definitely not
moment.
going to be. It's definitely not going to be Elliot. And in the kind of media round that Unai Emery has done on Friday, he's kind of said that he sees Elliot mainly as a number 10. He doesn't see him as a wide player. He's obviously played wide for Liverpool, and he's played wide, I think, for the England age groups as well at times. But from Unai Emery's perspective, he sees him mainly as a number 10. So the problem for Elliot in that regard is that McGinn plays there, Tielemans can play there, Rodgers plays there,
Yeah.
Marlon can play there. So he's got players ahead of him. So I feel like it might be difficult for Elliot to see a lot of game time in the near future.
We've got to make a selection, though, Dave. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the goal scorer from Thursday night, Gasson. But I've got to be honest. I don't want to be harsh still. I'm still not seeing it. I know he scored. But if anything, and this is going to sound really harsh, I actually think he might be getting worse. I just can't. I'm just not seeing it. I want to, and I've said previously, I said last night that his clips great from what I saw in France. Looked like a great player. Looked like exactly what we need. And I know he needs time, and he may well turn out to be a fantastic signing. And my God, I hope he does, because obviously I want everyone at Villa to do well. I thought he was awful. Well, my camera's just zoomed in, hasn't it?
Yeah, I saw it zoom in early. It was
didn't want to
brilliant.
tell me. He did that. Yeah, he just keeps doing it. It doesn't want to. There we go. We got it back again. Doesn't want to stay in place.
I
But
thought you were putting real emphasis on what you were saying, and it just
no.
crash
I
zoomed
just guess
into your
I'm
nose.
I'm just not seeing it. No,
Look,
I'm not saying basic things. That I think that's my problem with it.
I think you know, I'm not going to bang on about go ahead Eagles. I don't think you can put too much credence on any players in that game, to be honest. But I think from my perspective, he's got the ingredients, and it's about tying it all together for me.
So are you going to put him in the team though, Dave, for this one? I feel
No,
like he's a bit raw for this one. Would be my description. I
yeah,
feel bad. I actually feel bad for what I've just said about him, but I'm just trying to be honest. I'm trying not to be hypercritical, and I think it's probably coming across as hypercritical because it is early days. Out of all the signings, you know, he's the one that's come in and never played in the league, so he's the one that needs more time than anyone else in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'm just not seeing it at the moment. But I hope I can at some point in the near future.
and also you have to remember that he's not been playing in a fully functioning team so at the start of the
That's true
season.
as well.
And he's been
Yeah.
asked to do different things when he's on the pitch. Sometimes he's a kind of touchline winger. Sometimes he's trying to join Ollie Watkins up front. So he's getting used to the kind of tactical requests of the manager as well. So that's my perspective on Gesson. I don't think he plays in this game. I think it is McGinn from the right, and I think it is Rodgers from the left. And then it's a question of whether Bogard plays, whether Marlon plays. For me, I don't think
Not
Buendia
what
plays.
we'll go Marlon then, but I just don't see it. I'd like to see it. I really enjoyed that formation against. That's the exact same team that played against Burnley, isn't it? I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that system. I thought it actually brought the best out of everyone that was on the pitch that day, pretty much in those spaces, players playing in those spaces, and Cash being allowed to go. First of all, no Bogard played, didn't he? Rather than Nana, and
Yes.
so
Yeah.
Kamara would have been left central midfield rather than right central midfield, like we have him here.
What that allows Villa to do as well, if they are coming under pressure, is Kamara can drop in to make it a back five, and
Yeah,
then it also then allows on the counter for Cash and Digne to fly forward. The only concern around that this side that we've got on the screen there is ball progression, because
mm.
Onana has not shown that he's going to be capable of getting the ball into the tens, and Kamara is high quality. But obviously, you'd rather have Yuri Tielemans in there to do those line breaking passes. So that's my only concern around looking at that. But then that responsibility then falls to Pau Torres to find those balls into the Villa players that are behind Ollie Watkins. So
Yeah,
big
certainly going to be an
responsibility.
interesting game. Certainly going to be an interesting game, isn't it? I think it's a hard one to call. Actually, I'm struggling with what I think in terms of the last kind of few games. I've been convinced. I was convinced we'd beat Fulham. I was convinced we'd beat Burnley, and for some reason, I was convinced that we'd beat Spurs. And Dave and I are giving ourselves huge pats on the back for both calling 2-1 in the hot takes. We're not supposed to do score predictions, because that's how confident we were. We both called a 2-1 in the pre-match show last week. I really am struggling to call this one because City on good form as well. Like they lost 2 out of the first 3, but since then they've been pretty good at almost under the radar until recently as well.
Yeah.
So I'm unsure what my take is going to be. Have you got one?
I think this is a really interesting test of where both sides are at. I know we were pretty much saying that the game against Spurs was going to be a real test of where Villa are at, and it was almost it felt like a more familiar performance from Villa against Spurs away from home.
Yeah,
Not
good Emery
necessarily,
ball.
yeah, not necessarily spectacular, but full of grit, full of commitment, full of determination, and that's what Villa are going to have to bring to the table against Manchester City. And I think conversely, it's a real test of where Manchester City are
Yeah,
at a place where they obviously haven't recently done particularly well. Can they weather an intense performance from Villa if that's what Villa dish up? So I'm probably I'm easing towards a draw, and I'm desperate to see Ollie Watkins score. So that's what I'd like to say as my hot/cold take.
okay. I'm going to go, and I've based my fantasy football team around this basically, is that Rodgers is obviously starting to get goals and assists again. I actually thought he looked good when he came on last night, lucky not to score or get an assist really. He was a bright spark when he came on. Enjoyed playing against Manchester City at Villa Park last year. I've put Rodgers in my fantasy football team and bench boosted off the back of just having a feeling for him. So I'm going to go Rodgers to score against Manchester City, his old team. That's that's my take. So that does us, Dave. Thank you very much for joining me, as you always do, to preview the weekend's action. And thank you to you, the viewer and listener, as well. If you can do the things that I speak about every week, that would be absolutely fantastic. Subscriber numbers is the main one. So subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not subscribed, please do that now. And via audio, if you could give us 5 stars, leave us a review, say something nice about us in the comments on Spotify, all those things are appreciated. Thank you to Match Bingo, our sponsor. If you could check out them as well, that would be great. 1874.io/Match Bingo. I'm full of begging here, aren't I? Begging for everything. Check out Founders Design as well, and check out buymeacoffee.com/Dan Bardell if you want to support the channel, but you don't have to. But if you do want to, that's absolutely fantastic. One more plug. Jonathan Wilson and I have previewed the entirety of the Premier League action this weekend. So my sister channel, 1992, if you're not aware of that, go and check it out. Just type in 1992 Premier League on YouTube and you will find it. Go and watch that if you want to support that show. It's a good listen, in my opinion, not because of me, but because of the legend that is Jonathan Wilson. Dave, what's have you got anything that you want to plug? I think I've plugged everything that's ever in existence. Would you like to plug anything?
I mean, people can follow me if they want at David_Reed on X.
It's a great follow. It's an unbelievable follow.
Some good takes there. I've written about Sean Dyche on my Substack this week.
Oh, Dave Reed Substack's a good read as well.
If you want to check that out, it gives some little behind the scenes stuff about what goes on in TV as well. But this week I've written about Sean Dyche. So go and have a read, leave a comment. Give it a follow, give it a like, whatever you want to do. That'd be great.
There we go. We've both plugged everything that's ever been alive in the world now. So we've done that. So thank you very much. All that's left to say really is an up the Villa from me and an up the Villa from David Reed.
Up the Villa.
Thank you very much, Dave. If you're going to Villa Park on Sunday, I will see you there. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your weekend up until that point. And as always, again, up the Villa. How many up the Villas can you do at the end of a show? You can do many.